This was before like Instagram saves were a thing. Like I couldn't like save a picture, and you went to like the San Jose like Rose Garden or something, and you like posted a picture.
People, like take prom pics.
Yeah, there was like the Rose Arch, and I remember you just kind of standing there and you're like just like, how do you still take your pictures? And I screenshotted it. I just like had it on my phone for a really long time, and I finally went. I think I went like junior year.
Sophomore year, after you got your tattoo in Nevada, I remember screenshotting it and sending it to, I think, just one group chat, and I was like,
oh, just one.
Yeah, you know, like asking, like, how'd you get this tattoo? How'd you get to Nevada? Do your parents know? Or, like, because none of us knew you, so we were just like guessing and making up these stories about like how you could have gotten there. And then let's see, junior year we were in Miss Tokam's English class.
Yeah.
And you worked at Chantal Guillaume at that time. So you'd always have day-old macarons in the box for a snack. And then I remember you used to give each of one of us one, and I was like, wow, this girl is bougie. Have a life together. And I remember one time after class, you messaged me out of the blue and was like, hey, I thought your outfit was really cute today.
Oh my god, I remember that. Yeah, you were wearing like, was it like an overall skirt, right?
Yeah.
And then like,
I still have that outfit. It's just down there in my closet.
Oh, wow. And then we had art together senior year. And at this point, it was like, what, like 4 years of like knowing who the other person was, but like never talking to them. And then I moved and sat next to you. And
yeah, because we had to draw each other.
Yeah.
So our original idea to start a podcast 4 months ago.
When I texted you, and I texted some other people, and everyone else was like, yeah, sure. And I was like, okay, they're not going to do it. So I texted you, and I think we both got like
your first choice.
No. You're kidding. We made our like initial like planning document over a call, and it was like, we should start by May.
Uh-huh.
And now it's like September. We haven't done anything. That is why we started it. What we'll cover?
I guess like just current events, but not just like what's on the news, but also what's very topical amongst the teens and the youths.
We like call each other so regularly anyways.
Yeah.
And we talk about like some millennial us, and you're like, wow, we have such interesting conversations. I feel like other people are going to be interested. Yeah, I feel like no one is going to be interested. Should this be our like default transition? Just like a, wait, when I go to Boston, it'll be like a swoosh like across the coast.
Coastal swoosh.
Okay, so now that we've done our transition, slacktivism.
Right now, the Amazon rainforest is burning. Actually, do you know what I feel like I only know a very surface level.
Yeah, I
know
honestly...
it's like cattle ranchers are burning it down for more land for...
yeah, that's basically all I know. And then also that like the Amazon is basically like the planet's like lungs because it provides for like 20% of like our oxygen. But I honestly haven't done too much research into it either.
So every single time one of these really big catastrophes happens, there are a lot of like Instagram accounts that pop up where they're like, follow us and repost this on your story and we'll donate $1 for every single person who does it. And they have no connection to any established organization or any like way to raise this money or give it to the people who need it. And people still repost it.
You don't really think about it, you know, you're like, oh, like the person who reposts it, there's no opportunity cost for them other than like, you know, the time it takes to like post it, and that's not really like anything. So I guess like for people who post it, it's like really easy to just think like there's literally like nothing negative that could come to them. Yeah, but then also like just nothing comes out of posting it really, aside from being like, oh, I'm like woke and like I care about things, but like
I feel like this is just a very like artificial pat on the back. And it's also like, even if these accounts or whatever they're posting, it's like real, I think it kind of speaks to how quickly people can post without really verifying the information they're reposting, because they could like completely make up this like a completely made up event and then just have people start like reposting it. And then that's like isn't there another Instagram thing that happened recently where like celebrities posted like, you have to repost this or Instagram's going to...
Oh yeah, like Instagram was gonna like own your like photos or like whatever, something like that. Those like used to be like very common back in like middle school and stuff. Like everything was like, you have to repost this or like blah blah blah. And it was really funny because like, do you remember when the Notes app was like yellow and like striped?
Yeah.
It was like that, and then it would have like the vignette like filter around it. It was like very clearly written by like not an Instagram person. Again, it comes at like no opportunity cost, so it's like better safe than sorry. Like I might as well just post it instead of like taking like 5 minutes to like do a Google search or like verify the sources or like see if it's legit. You know, it's just like, I'll just post it and like see. I don't know, like you get information so quickly now in our digital society. So it's just very easy to just like, you know, accept things that like come, especially if they're like being posted by like bigger accounts or like people that you trust.
I think that speaks to me too, and also the fact that, you know, my understanding mostly comes from these Instagram posts. Even though I also follow like news accounts and I've read like their captions, it's still very surface level. And so I feel like there should be an easier way to get credible information that's more easily digestible instead of like going to that like rabbit hole of like researching this for like you have to research this for like an hour before you can speak on any topic, which is really, really unreasonable to expect of anyone.
Yeah, but I feel like in a way, because like both of our understanding of like the Amazon rainforest in particular come from people's stories. So in a way, like, would we have heard about it otherwise? Like, probably, but traditionally we would have had to like heard about it, like read the news or something. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing that people are posting about it on their stories, you know, because it is like the main point is to increase exposure and like bring awareness to the situation, which it has done. But I feel like the issue with posting on your story is that it's very easy to just like post and be like, okay, well, like I've done my part, because like spreading awareness is one thing, but like when all your stories are the same thing, like the awareness has been spread, like the goal has been achieved, and like the next step to spreading awareness is to taking action, because like when you're aware of something, then you can take action, but you need to move beyond the first step of just being aware of it and like actually doing something to address the issue.
Yeah, definitely. Like I think that there's definitely value in like the power of social media to spread these ideas quickly and kind of make people react to something that maybe they wouldn't have heard of otherwise. But yeah, kind of like the whole Sudan change your icon blue thing. Part of that was like it was, you know, we wouldn't have heard about that otherwise, because I think sometimes we're so oversaturated from news like from that part of the world that, you know, it wouldn't have brought so much anger to people here. But also like so many people just changed their icons and, you know, didn't do anything otherwise. I think we can all do more, but it's also like difficult.
Yeah.
And also raising money, it's some like, or just donating is something of course not every single person can do. So definitely like if really using their social media for good is the largest extent that they can help, that's also valuable too. Definitely don't want to like come at like an elitist thing, like if you don't donate $20, you're horrible.
Yeah, like, we don't know that like people didn't post on their story and donate. We're definitely not saying that like you shouldn't post on your story. Like I don't think that's like either of our opinions. But it's just kind of like, you know, like it just makes me feel like, yeah, this is like kind of elitist of me to be like, well, are you fully informed? Like, did you spend an hour researching? I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like I have an opinion, but I'm also like, did I research my opinion enough? Like, is my opinion valid? Like, am I missing the whole point? Am I just getting angry at people for posting too much on their stories? But I guess that like brings up the question of like what you can do to actually help.
Yeah, I think it's especially hard for international issues, because I feel like for domestic things, it's like, of course, you can vote, you can call your representatives and stuff, which actually like does stuff, I think, and or like send letters. This just made me really like feel so hopeless.
Oh no!
Like sometimes, no, but doesn't it? Like sometimes when you think about, kind of just feels like, oh, you're just one person, and you feel like it's like so small, and all the issues of the world are so.
Yes. Yeah. Also, there's so many issues, and they're constantly popping up, you know, and they're like issues that like affect me directly as like a woman of color, and then there are issues that like I don't even realize are issues unless someone brings them up to me, like the Sudan crisis. Like if you don't have the money to donate, then like what can you do? Like, is there like a Amazon rainforest manager that you can like write to? Like I don't know, you know, I don't know what I can do.
I want to speak to me. But I think that also like brings up the point where it's like, the more you like read the news and you learn about these things, the easier it is to get overwhelmed and kind of feel the need to like shut down, like just kind of like cut yourself completely off from all the like negative news of the world. And I think like this like overconsumption of it is definitely an issue that a lot of people have. So I know people who used to be like news junkies, and then after a while they're like, I can't deal with all this like negativity, because it's like, why is nothing ever like positive ever reported on? But like the world is a lot sometimes, and I think we should be more mindful of the way that we, I guess, interact with what we learn. But at the same time, we shouldn't beat ourselves up for not doing something every single second.
Yeah, I think I might have like read this on like Tumblr or something. Not even on Tumblr. It was like a screenshot of a Tumblr post on Instagram. So like not even like original Tumblr, but like the main gist of it was that like don't beat people up over like doing something small, but not like going the whole way. So like people who use like metal straws, like plastic straws are actually like a very small amount of waste in the ocean. Like there are other things, but like you shouldn't bash on people who are using metal straws, because they're still like doing a little bit, and like maybe they're not vegan, and maybe they shop at like H&M and like fast fashion, but like they're still doing something, you know. It's like that's a double-edged sword. It's like kind of dangerous to be like, well, I've done like this one small thing, so like I've done my part. Like you said, like we need to be more mindful about like our choices, which seems like very like presumptuous of us to say, because like we've literally been alive for like 19 years. Like what do we know, you know? This feels like that scene. Have you seen the movie 8th Grade?
No.
Okay, well you should watch it. It's really good. It's about this girl who like is like in her like last few like weeks of 8th grade, and it starts off and she's like starting a YouTube channel, and she's like giving her like viewers advice, and it's like really sweet and wholesome. She's like, here's how you should like find yourself, and here's how you should like be more self-confident. But I feel like it's just funny because like in 8th grade, you feel like you're the shit, you know, like you think you know everything because like you're the highest in like middle school, and you're just like giving all this advice, but like you're barely like a person, you know, like that sounds really rude, but like you know what I mean, like
No, that's true.
So us being like, this is how we should like conduct ourselves, and this is how we should be more mindful, seems kind of like that, where you're like, you think you're so self-aware, and like to some degree, like, you know, you are. We're not like idiots, but we're also not like wise old humans. I was gonna say men, but then I was like, no, humans.
Nice. Inclusive.
Thank you.
No, yeah, I like, honestly, maybe we'll look back at this, we'll probably will, but like in a few years and we cringe and just be like, wow, we were so naive. But I think also it's nice to document like how opinions change. Kind of going to like, I guess like cancel culture or something, when people like make, of course there's some things where it's like, if you don't atone for your crimes or some mistake that you made, it's not like saying sorry, we'll do it immediately. Like, especially when things are documented on the internet, people aren't allowed to like change their views. I think sometimes it's to the point where it's like, oh, someone posted this years ago, and even after they apologize and say, you know, I was naive, because we've all done really stupid things. It's not to say that like, oh, I'm excusing like racism or sexism or like homophobia, but I think like as we grow, views change.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
we should be able to acknowledge that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like celebrities have it like a lot harder than like some of us in terms of how quickly they're like canceled. Like, this is a good segue. Transition. Okay, thank you. So I know like during the 2016 election, a lot of like people and like fans of Taylor Swift were like calling her out for not taking a political stance and like endorsing one of the candidates. And the argument is that like Taylor Swift doesn't take a stance on big issues, but she does have an opinion when it comes to things that directly affect her, like the Spotify letter. Like, yes, that is true, and yes, like people who have like a platform and an influence, like celebrities and like YouTubers or whatever, like it's great if they use that platform for good and for like helping promote like good things. But for like a singer like Taylor Swift, that shouldn't necessarily like be required of her, you know what I mean? Because like she is an artist first and foremost, and that's why she's famous, and it's like great if she like wants to do other things. You know, like Emma Watson has done a lot and she is an actress like foremost, but I don't think that people should call her out necessarily for declining to use her like power in like a good way, whatever that means, you know?
Yeah, it's a huge burden to carry, because I feel like people expect them to always be on all the issues and always be on the right side of everything. And they're just one person. They have the same 24 hours in a day. It's great if they can use their like status to help something. Like it shouldn't be required of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like even when they do, I feel like they get like called out for using it as like a marketing gimmick. Like I just like know a lot about Taylor Swift for some reason. But when she came out with what's that song called? Please Calm Down or something like that.
Oh, you need to calm down.
Yeah, a lot of people were like, oh, you're just using like gay people as like a marketing gimmick and like trying to like appeal to like a wider audience, but like you haven't actually like done anything. Benefit of the doubt, Taylor Swift is a good person and like wants to help other people, but also like she is a business person, so you know it is smart of her to like appeal to a larger audience.
But also we also have to think about the fact that she probably got a lot of backlash from people who don't support.
That is true. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, she does have a little bit of skin in the game, even if she did do it like, oh, which I think, honestly, I feel like she's a good person, and she did it mostly, at least, to be supportive. I think she must have known that there would have been backlash, so for her to go through with it, I hate to be like the type of person that's like, oh, it's courageous. But it's like, I think it's like a good thing. Also, I feel like I haven't spoken to many LGBTQ people about this. So I don't know.
Mine is like based off like the YouTube comments. Like that's literally like mine is based off of YouTube comments because I haven't asked anyone about it either. It's just like YouTube comments and like some like articles that like pop up. But she did release her new album like this week, and she has a song called The Man that I thought was like really interesting. But it's basically like about like double standards. Like one of the lyrics is, they'd say I played the field before I found someone to commit to, and that would be okay for me to do. Because I remember for a while people were like talking a lot about how many boyfriends or how many guys Taylor Swift went through and like how she could like never hold on to a guy. But I think I looked it up and she's had like 5 boyfriends, which seems like a very normal number. I mean, like we're both at 0. Oh no, 1 and 0.
I just feel like because her life has just been so publicized since when did she get big? She was like what?
I want to say like 15.
She was definitely under 20, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's been publicized for so long that I feel like every single breakup, like I can't even imagine being in that spotlight and having like, you know, my breakups be publicized, or like, oh, I was spotted walking with a guy, like is that, you know, new boyfriend or like husband or something. It's like so like, I don't know, just like having paparazzi follow you around. I feel really bad because it's definitely like
maybe this is just like the spotlight effect where like when you look for something you see it, but I feel like Taylor Swift gets a lot of shit for like everything. Like
very normal thing.
Yeah, like for her boyfriends, for her music, which like honestly, not a huge fan of her music. I saw this one Atlantic article that was talking about her new song Me. Do you know how it goes? Because I'm just gonna have to sing it. It goes like me. You know that part?
Can you sing it again? I just didn't catch it.
No, I cannot. Limited edition performance. But they called it a dolphin screech.
Oh no.
Which like it's kind of funny. Because I don't like that song, but like I support her as a person, you know, and I don't think that she should have to go through all of the stuff that she goes with. She says like, what I was wearing if I was rude could all be separated from my good ideas and power moves if she were a man, which I think is like so relevant because like if you think about the 2016 election connections, like so many people gave Hillary shit for like what she was wearing. Like Taylor Swift says, it shouldn't matter like what you're wearing.
I think it's like always the double-edged sword where it's like, oh, you have to be like presentable, but not like too attractive or like quote unquote.
Yeah.
But then that's like threatening, or it just makes you seem unprofessional. I feel like it's definitely very much like a cultural thing that has to be, that hopefully will change over time. But I can't imagine this like massive movement that could completely overthrow, because I feel like a lot of these things are like just ingrained in our heads since we were kids. Like this is appropriate to wear and this is not in certain settings. And then I think just to like step back and reevaluate and just be like, so is this actually inappropriate, or is it fine and it's just, you know, evaluated on a unfair scale?
Kind of related to that, you know, like the whole, I feel like we're really getting into like everything that we could possibly like talk about and be controversial. You know how like, I don't even know how to like intro this. A lot of times like they'll be like, she like was asking for it with what she was wearing, and like, I don't condone that. It's never the victim's fault. But at the same time, like if I were to go out in some place that I like considered unsafe, I would actively make the choice to like wear something less revealing. And like that's so shitty because that's a societal issue, you know, like I should be able to go out in whatever I want and not be like catcalled or harassed or assaulted. But the fact is that like that's not where society is now. And it's kind of like this thing where it's like, well, I want to make society a safe place for like me and everyone else in it, regardless of what we're wearing. But at the same time, I can't put myself in risk by trying to make that happen by like putting my money where my mouth is. You know, it's just like it's not safe to do that. But like, how are we going to make it safe if we're not gonna like put our money where our mouths are? Yeah. But it's just like this like paradox where like you can't change the situation because it's unsafe for you to like try and do it. I mean, I guess you could, but like, I don't know, if my friend was like, I'm gonna try and like change how society is by like wearing like revealing clothing in like dark places or whatever, I'd be like, no, don't do that, that's unsafe, you know? So it's just like, what are we gonna do about it?
So much of this burden falls on women because we are the like kind of victims of this like, oh man, it's getting very like women studies, like patriarchal society. And but a lot of it is because a lot of guys aren't aware that these things happen. And I don't know, I think a lot of it is like educating people from a young age that this is bad behavior. And I think, not excusing this, but it's hard because there is like it's not just like men who are saying, oh, she deserved it because she was wearing such and such. It's like women say that too, and it's just a very common sentiment among everyone. I always want to say like, oh, education can solve a lot of things, and just like not awareness, but you know, being taught from a young age like what's right and wrong. But because that's kind of what shapes us. It's hard to change what you've been taught from a young age.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just feel like it shouldn't just be like a woman's fight to change it. At the same time, it's like, how do we get more people involved and aware and willing to put themselves at risk and speak out?
It's not like really depressing. Really quickly. Like, let's make a fun podcast. Now we're like, the world is ending and there's nothing we can do.
We don't have any more oxygen.
Well, we should probably transition to like something more lighthearted because I feel like we're just gonna like be
what's
sad.
What's good to end on? What's something good that's happening in the world?
Oh, this guy that I matched with on Bumble sent me a picture of his dog. Wait, let me show you his dog. It's really cute.
Oh, so smiley.
Right?
That's a good dog.
Yeah. We're gonna have to edit this together, so we're not actually going anywhere. But should I stop the screen recording?
That's